Oh, now I got to start again. Hi, I'm Coach Geordie, and we are going to do a webinar on mobility for swimming. There are a lot of videos out there on YouTube about mobility for swimming. I've never found one I really like, so this is a great opportunity to put one together. As so often happens with material that's out there, generally it's aimed at more advanced athletes and people with incredible mobility already. So we're not going to tie ourselves into knots. There are some good ones out there, certainly, but do be careful. I always like to caution with regards to exercise ever to be extremely cautious as to what guidance you follow. And the same thing goes with me. If your doctor or your physio don't think you should be doing, if you think, they think you shouldn't be doing something that I'm going to show you today, then don't do it. You're taking your own risk, and we certainly at Ottawa Swimming don't carry any responsibility. So why mobility for swimming? It's so important. You know, one of the most important philosophies in coaching is that you fit the technique to the athlete. You don't jam an athlete into one technique. And one of the major reasons for that is mobility. Everybody's body is different. Everybody's range of motion is different. In particular, so I should add, this is one of the things I love about swim coaching is I see somebody swimming and I have to find the perfect technique for them. And it's a wonderful coach-athlete relationship and incredibly challenging and very stimulating, much more than running and cycling, although mobility comes into play there as well. So why is mobility important in swimming? First of all, let's talk about lat and pectoral mobility as far as extension goes. If we extend forward into the water and we can only extend that far, we're not going to be very streamlined, as opposed to if I'm going towards you, as opposed to that. If we're here, we're creating a lot more drag. So that's number one. The other thing that's really important is, and we're going to do a little test on this later, is how soon in the stroke you can set the vertical forearm. So we don't want to pull like this. We want to pull with a vertical forearm. So we're using the forearm to create drag as well as the hand. Now, if you've got tight lats and generally tight shoulders and chest, what's going to happen is as you go to achieve or set up that catch, that early vertical forearm, you're not going to be able to do it until here, maybe out from the shoulder. That means you're going to have a very short, powerful pull before the finish. If you have increased mobility or better mobility, then that catch and that big, powerful stroke is going to happen way out forward, right? So you're going to have a greater pull as well. In recovery, when we recover here with a high elbow and low hand, if you are trying to do that and you have a very tight pectoral muscle, especially, it can cause impingement in the shoulder, and that's going to get inflamed and cause problems. You'll see swimmers, you'll know immediately they've got mobility problems when they finish and they recover like this with their arm, hand first, and their arm hovering just above the surface of the water. So we want that elbow high and hand low, so it's a relaxed recovery. The third thing about mobility is the ankle. Boy, oh boy. As most of you are triathletes, and kicking is not incredibly important in the long distance events. However, it needs to be efficient. Every bit of energy we do put into it needs to be spent efficiently. And if you have immobile ankles, it can cause a big, big challenge. So imagine that I'll come closer. Imagine my forearm is a shin, and this is the top of my foot. I have coached swimmers that when we ask them to point their toes, this is all we get. This is as far as they can point their toes forward, as opposed to sort of a normal range of motion, or a swimmer's range of motion, where they can actually go past horizontal with their toes. So with a foot in this position, if we turn it around and that foot is going to kick down, it's going to push the water forward and down. So that swimmer is going to be moonwalking. They're going to be moving backwards, and I've seen it in the pool. So ankle flexibility is a great challenge and hugely beneficial, but it's hard to gain. It's easier to work on the shoulders than the ankles, but we'll do both. The routine that I'm going to take you through tonight, I will say this to you, do some of it, do all of it, just do something, because I know human beings don't like to stretch. So do your best. I was loosening up before this webinar, and I can tell you, still working on my left shoulder. This is going to be one of my projects over the next few weeks, is to get a balance. It's not bad, but there's definitely an imbalance. So let's get to work on our stretch. Those of you that were part of our strength training seminar will know that I'm the cameraman. But also, you're going to find the same dynamic warm-up or initiation here at the start, because we need to take care of some important things. First thing we're going to do 3 stretches. And I'll go through them fairly quickly, so I don't expect that you're necessarily following along or doing it with me. I'm going to assume you're just watching. So you'll do a cobra, relax and breathe into that. Bring it back to a child's pose with arms in front to loosen the lats. Hold that for 5 or 10 seconds. And then we'll bring it up and we'll do some scapular retraction, cat bends. Good. So just loosening up the back, because it could be stiff from sitting too much in our homes, being part of Team Canada. And now we're going to do a little bit of a foam roll. If you don't have a foam roller, don't worry about it, but it is highly beneficial. So we're going to put it in the middle of the back, and we're going to loosen up the thoracic spine. We want that thoracic spine to try to bend. Don't go lower back, just the upper back. You can put your hands behind your head or extend them or extend one. And we just want to try to loosen it up. If you find a sticky spot, pause on that. Slowly work until you are up to the shoulders. And then we're going to roll on our side and do the lats. So we're unweighting the hip with this leg here. Rolling the middle of the lat, and then we're going to rock forward, get the front a little bit, and I would go through those 3 a number of times. I won't right here. And then you would roll over and do the other lat. Let's stand up. Next thing is arm circles, just like in the strength. So we're going to do some doubles back, tight, and then big. And then doubles forward, tight, and then big. You'll do a few, say 10 circles. If you want a number, let's say 10 circles in each direction. And then we'll do singles, tight back, and big. Tight back, and big. Did we go forward? Anyway, and you do the same thing forward. Forward small, forward big, and forward 1, big, forward the other, and big. Now, when you're doing this, one of the things I want you to work on is spinning your arm from your shoulder, not moving it with tension. So you're trying to just throw it around, nice and relaxed as much as possible. The final one, and this one is good for fighting off children if they are not giving enough space, is a windmill. And the windmill's going to get the hips into a little bit, so if anybody can play a Latin rhythm, I will do my best. So just do a windmill like that, and then go the other way, really trying to spin from the shoulder. Now, one more roll exercise I want to show you. Myofascial release with a lacrosse ball. This is for tight pectoral muscles, which is one of the major issues that swimmers, human beings, have because we spend so much time internally rotating, right? Keyboard, driving, sitting, whatever the heck this is. So this is, I do a few different exercises with the lacrosse ball, but I'm going to show you the pectoral release. It's very hard to demonstrate without a glass wall, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the ball against the wall, and I'm going to start in front of the shoulder, and I'm going to move and roll just below the collarbone. And then I'm going to go back, move a little lower, and I'm going to come across, and then a little bit lower again, and come across. If I feel a sticky spot, I'm going to pause. And when I say sticky spot, maybe a little sore spot, I'm going to pause and just hold it there. Very gradual pressure. First time doing it, it won't take much, and you'll probably feel it. So here's what it looks like, more or less from behind, because I warned you, it's really hard to demonstrate it. You know what, I'll do it this way. So this ball is very slippery, so I have to hold it in place with a hand. So I'm going to put it there, and I'm going to move my shoulder across it. I'm going to move it down a little bit. I'm going to move my shoulder across it. Told you, couldn't really say anything, could you? So that is a fantastic exercise, myofascial release with a lacrosse ball for the pectoral muscle. Now, we did our arm swings. So I want to do just some leg swings just to get a little more blood circulating before we go into all of our stretches. So leg swings, classic for runners. Do 10 forward ones. You're doing the same thing here. You're just trying to swing from the hip. Right, nice and relaxed. Other leg 10 times. And then you do a crossing motion. The most important thing with the crossing motion is that your foot is allowed to pivot. So don't be very cautious. Best not to do it on carpet. Make sure you're on a smooth floor where you can rotate. You know what? I'll tilt this down so you can see the feet. So I'm going to rotate my foot. You can see how it goes. I'm going to swing nice and easy across my body, turning my hips. And I'll do that 10 times on each leg. So we did arm circles, and we did arm circles and then leg swings. Now it's time for a pop test. I want you guys to get a feeling for a measure of how your shoulder mobility is with two simple movements. I do this as part of my swim seminars. So we're going to do the classic over and under stretch. I want you to reach towards your fingers and see if you can touch. If you can touch, how far can you overlap? If you can't touch, how far apart do they feel? Or if somebody else is around, ask them to measure. Now, knowing that you have used your best side, let's do your crappy side. So let's go back over and see how you're doing the other way. So most of you will probably find there's an imbalance there, and that's a red flag. That is your body saying, please help me. So thank you on behalf of your body. Thank you for being here tonight. Here's the other test that I'm going to have you do, and it relates to that early vertical forearm. You're going to put your arms up, straight up in the air, straight shoulder width apart, and then you're going to leave your elbow in space, and you're going to bring your forearm down horizontal. In fact, you're going to do it with both. And we're going to see where that happens. So we want to have this as high as possible, but it's got to stay horizontal. So I don't want to see anybody like this. Now, if you lack lat mobility, you will probably be down here as opposed to way up here or beyond, because I'm not super loose myself. Right? So that's a good measure. If you look in the mirror and see where that is happening, that's a good measure to remember for the future. I'm going to take you through, since it's swim mobility and we use our legs, I wanted to spend just a minute on leg mobility, but in the simplest of terms, which means a standing routine. So this is the classic 6-stretch standing routine that I always teach runners or cyclists. So upper body aside, let's go from the hips down. The 6 stretches, do you know what? Let me pause here right now and say, because we had to move over to another video channel or another video, the handout is not in the description of this one. It will be after the broadcast. So I will take that repair. So we had some technical problems at the start. So all of these will be listed. So figure 4 stretch for the glutes. Bowing forward, chest first. Each stretch you hold for 4 or 5 breaths in and out, nice and slow. So figure 4, both legs. Then you go hip flexor. So do it this way. We're going to push the hips forward, reach back, keep the tummy tight. Among other places, you're going to feel it on the front of the rear leg. So that's the hip flexor stretch. Then you're going to do a glute med stretch, classic iliotibial stretch. Cross one leg over the other. Bow forward with your chest. Among other places, you're going to feel it on the outside of the rear hip. You do that on both legs. And then it's a quad stretch. Grab your sock, pant leg if you can't reach your foot. Keep the tummy tight. Do that both legs. And then a hamstring stretch. Heel forward. Don't reach with your hands. Don't reach with your head. Reach with your chest. Bow forward. Feel slight tension in the muscle and 3 or 4 breaths. And then finally, the classic calf stretch. We always leave that to the end because that's the small muscle at the end of the kinetic chain. All right, let's get down to swim business now. So I'm going to show you a number of swim-specific stretches. You know, they're used elsewhere, but specifically they benefit swimmers. I know you guys don't like to stretch, and those of you whom I have coached will know that I ask you to do 3 stretches. It's not too much to ask, but at the end of every workout, I ask you to do a big O, stretching like this, to stretch the scapular muscles, and then stretch the chest, and then stretch the side. And God's honest truth, I was using this routine for years until I figured it out that we were creating an O, a T, and a C. Who would have known? Funkin'. So there's the OTC3. If all you can do is that, then do that. Next stretch, overhead. We're going to put both hands overhead. You can just put your hands together in a prayer position, and I want you to reach forward. Always, we're going to keep that transverse abdominis tight. So I don't want you to arch your lower back. Keep the tummy tight or the transverse abdominis tight, especially when we're overhead. So hands in a prayer position. You're going to reach us up as high as you can. Breathing constantly, stretching the lats. And then we're going to try to move that back just a little bit. And breathe and relax, which isn't easy to do when you're in this position. If you can do that hand position well, then you can wrap them around and get the hands behind the head a little more. Same thing, tummy tight, bring it back a little bit more. If that's going well, then you can also add in to it a very gentle and controlled lean to the side. But keep that posterior position. Good. The next exercise puts fear into anyone that has done it before. And if they see it coming up in a workout, first of all, half of you already know what we're going to do, don't you? Because you've been traumatized by this. So we're going to do wall slides. So a full wall slide, first, again, we don't want to arch the back, keep the tummy tight. The goal is to simply go from here to there. It's the parting between is the hard part. So I'm going to give it a go, and hopefully I won't sweat or cry. But we're going to come here, and then I feel a bit of a sticky spot, and my elbows come off the wall, and then they go back on the wall. Coming down is pretty easy. This can be done on the floor, but it's much easier on the floor. Got a better option for you. That's really, really hard, then just do unilateral. So start here with 1, go up and down. You can even turn, just bring this shoulder slightly off to make it a little easier initially. And then here's my bad shoulder, or worse shoulder. So unilateral is a good entry point to the wall slides. Fewer tears. we talked already about how important the pectoral muscle is, and we're going to do the most important stretch for the pectoral. I'm going to come back here. You're going to use a door frame is ideal. Putting your arm at a right angle, you're going to, knees bent, you're going to look over the opposite shoulder and push the chest forward slightly. The pectoral has 2 insertion points. So we're going to do this and hold it for 4 or 5 deep breaths. And come back. And then we're going to move that elbow up about 6 inches. We're going to do it again. Again, bring the pec forward. Do that on both sides. So we want to get both of those insertion points for the pec door frame. Next is a lat stretch. Pretty simple lat stretch with both hands on the wall. So like a frisking position. You're going to be here, 1 foot in front of the other, and you're going to lean your chest forward. Elbows are just soft, so just slightly bent. You're going to lean forward. You can bring it down a little more if you're more flexible. And what we're looking for is you're going to feel a stretch through here. As you're doing this, we want to always keep those fingers high. So reaching and extending as far as possible. So that's one option for that stretch. The other option is, I hope you're all not getting nauseous from these camera movements, is if you have a flat railing, so there's a flat railing just behind this. Put your hands on it, and you can just hang a little bit and get that same feeling. It's a little bit easier to execute than the one on the wall. If you do have a horizontal railing or surface, even a kitchen counter, I suppose, would work, yeah. Tricep. Tricep, the back of the arm here, very important in the finish. It's not a really problematic muscle, but we do need to keep it, we do need to address it, let's say. We don't want it to be excessively loose. What people tend to do with the classic tricep stretch is they use this arm as a lever on their head. That's not good, I don't like that. We don't need a lot of stretch. So hand in front, just push it back, nice and gentle. Feel a little stretch through here. Now, I'm going to grab my band. You will see all kinds of experienced swimmers do crazy things with broomsticks and do dislocation rotations of both arms together. Resisted band is our friend in this case, all right? So you're going to take a nice wide grip, and you're going to come over, nice and wide as it takes to be comfortable, and down. And then back over, and once you're feeling comfortable, bring those hands a little closer together. You're still allowed to stretch. I don't want it to hurt, never should it hurt. But a little tighter stretch, or a little tighter band, is going to provide just a little more stretch. So nice and slow, just like that. Don't overdo it. Never overdo it. Whenever you're stretching, go slowly until you feel tension. Tension only, never pain. We're going to go down to the floor now. There's one more exercise, a supine arm sweep. And I'm going to use this to support my leg. Not mandatory, but recommended. So I'm going to lay on my side. I'm going to put my leg on this foam roller. You could use a big pillow. Both hands are on the floor. Let me just tip that down so you can see. So we're here. And then we're going to take this top hand, and we're going to try to keep it on the floor, and rotate, and bring it all the way around, and then all the way back. We'll do that 5 times, and then change sides. So we move now down to the ankle. And for this next set, I'm going to dare to pollute the environment with my socks and shoes off, or my shoes off anyway. So the first thing is just to move the ankles, because we rarely work them. And this is one of these exercises that I recommend you just get used to doing when you're watching TV. So I just want you to do nice, slow ankle circles in each direction, 5 or 10. And then you do plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. Little tip is, if you keep getting cramps when you do that, just extend the ankle. Don't extend the toes too. It's the toes that really bring that cramp into the motion. So try to just do the ankle and leave the toes behind. So that's the first exercise. Next, you're going to come up on one knee. And I'm going to show you this headless, okay? So we're going to be here on one knee, and you're going to go forward, and then you're going to come back, 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 trying to leave that foot on the ground. Bring it back, 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 and you're going to start to feel what limits you, what muscles limit you in that range of motion. Another way you can do this is if you have one of your loved ones that owes you a big favor, have them hold your foot as you go back, and that really helps. The most common recommended exercise for increasing ankle mobility is one of these exercises that I won't say I'm hesitant to recommend, but I only recommend with the greatest of caution, and that is sitting on your feet. When you see demonstrations of this, it's by people that are swimmers. So us regular people, it's pretty tricky. So what you do in this case, your feet are flat back here, and you move back slowly, and you can see already my knees are hyperflexed. So if you feel any discomfort in your knees, stop. And you know what? Don't even do this stretch. If you have very flexible knees and legs generally, then you're probably fine. In that case, you're going to come back and you can sit on your heels. Again, any knee discomfort, then stop. People that are very flexible, and that's not me, will be able to come way back here and even lift their knees up, putting pressure on their toes. Before we stand up for the last calf stretch, I want to show you a neck stretch. We didn't talk about the neck before, but neck mobility is really, really big as well. Many of the swimmers I coach breathe the most of the time to one side because they have better, because it feels better. But why? It feels better because they have better mobility. And they're able to get that head down nice and low. And if their head's low, their feet are high, and they've got good body position. I ask them to breathe to the other side, and it all goes to heck. So we got to work on neck mobility as well, because you need to be able to breathe, keep the head low, but do it to both sides. So very simple neck stretch. You're going to be sat cross-legged or however you want, sat on the ground. You're going to reach that arm out as far as you can, and then just tilt the ear down. Breathe and relax, hold it for 3 or 4 deep breaths. And then you can come back, go back down, and you can just roll that chin forward a little bit and roll it back just a little bit, back to neutral. So there's a neck stretch for you. One more standing exercise as we wrap up. So this again is for ankle mobility. I got to get the camera angle right here. So what you're going to do is, I call this a top-down roll. So the top of your foot is down, and you're going to gently roll it back and forth, side to side, I should say. Very gentle. As you start to feel it looser, you can put a little more pressure and push the foot down into the wall a little more, and you can straighten the knee. That straightening that knee is going to increase the stretch as well. So given the choice of doing the sit on the feet stretch or this one, do this one if you're a recreational athlete and you have any concerns about sitting on a hyperflex knee. So you got to be very, very careful. So that takes us through. We hit 31 minutes on that one, not bad. So now I've got some time to answer questions. I'll turn this so the light isn't in there. So if you have any questions, please post away and I'll do my best to answer. I'll also be online on Sunday morning at 8 a.m. to answer your questions. Make sure to pour a nice cup of coffee and join me. So I'd like to say hi, Dave. Yeah, great to see you. Ben, thank you for that recommendation. Yes, you can buy a lacrosse ball via Canadian Tire. Oh, that's a great tip, Marianne. Good to see you again, Marianne. The physiotherapist recommends putting a sock over the ball to increase the traction. Good. Kathy, good to see you. I hope your knitting is going well. Tom, good to see you back. Emily, hello. Tom, Emily says hi. And Andrea, nice to see you as well. I know Zen Yu was here. Zen, you've always got great questions. I'm counting on you to come up with one. I'm hoping you made it over from the other location. Sharon, Pam, hello. Kate. And Audra, Nadine, good to see you. Renee, I'm glad you made it to this one, even though you're about, what, 300 meters away? All right. So it doesn't look like there's any questions. This video is going to be up on the website as of tomorrow. Actually, it may process even quicker, like in the next hour. And remember, I'm going to add the handout to the description section of this video. So you'll be able to download the list there's no descriptions in the exercises really. It's just the list. And there will also be a link if you so choose to support the Ottawa Mission in these difficult times with a small donation. So thank you, everyone. It was great to see you. Oh, sorry, I keep pointing to the wrong side of the screen. I got to become a real YouTube pro. It's great to see all your names here on this list. I'll be, as you saw, we have new live classes rolling out next week, but Sunday, 8 a.m., check the virtual website on Ottawa Swimming, because I'll be at the keyboard and we'll be doing a video chat with a group, and I'll be there to answer your questions. So thank you, everyone. Have a great night. It's good seeing y'all.